Welcome back to OT Sports. Today we got our Week 10 college football top 25. Now, full disclosure, I'm recording this Monday. This is going to come out Tuesday night just because, when you guys are seeing this, today is Halloween and I'm very busy, so I just kind of recorded this. So I won't know what the college football playoff committee is thinking for these rankings. That won't really affect it too much since these are my rankings anyway, but it could change a little bit just because those guys, they know what they're doing. This is their job. So I could slightly be impacted by that, but realistically it's not that much. I watch enough college football to kind of understand where certain teams should be. But anyways, let's just hop right into the top 25. Number 25, I got USC. I got them moving down 3. Yeah, they didn't look great against California. They probably should have lost that game. They were outplayed for the majority of it. They came back late in the game. So I guess good for them, but it's not looking too good. They're 7-2. And they got a game coming up against Washington. And now Washington hasn't been great either. We'll get to them in a little. But, yeah, I mean, Washington hasn't looked great, but it's hard not to trust them. And also USC, you talk about them, they have been looking very, very bad the past couple games. I mean, Washington has too. The past 2 games, Washington has not looked great. But, I mean, for USC, they've lost 2 of their last 3. They've fallen down 15 spots in my rankings from 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, they're in a rough spot. It is in the Coliseum. These 2 offenses should get going, but, I mean, I don't know. The USC's whole team is really just Caleb Williams at this point. Their defense is okay. I got to go Washington. Maybe it's Washington has been looking ahead to this game. That's why they've been struggling recently. And maybe that's what happened to USC last week. It is in the Coliseum, and Washington has a very tough schedule down the road, so I would expect them to drop one of their last couple games, but I don't think it's this one. I think Washington's just by far the better team. So I'm going to take them 36-31. Number 24, James Madison moving up 1 spot. They squeak out a win against Old Dominion. They're still undefeated, and they have a very real shot at getting that New Year's Six Bowl. Will they get it? I don't know. We will see. They got a game coming up at Georgia State. Georgia State's 6-2. They're not a bad team. It's on the road. I think it'll be close. I think James Madison keeps their undefeated season alive. Number 23, Tulane, also moved up 1 spot. They squeak out a win against Rice. Rice almost came back in this game, but Tulane clinched the game with a late touchdown from their quarterback, rushing touchdown. The upcoming game against East Carolina, they should have no problems here. I'll go 38-13. Number 22, Kansas State. Now, Kansas State's been hot recently. The analytics are all over this team. I'm very high on Kansas State. They have come back from the, not a great start to start the year. They started out really rough, but they've bounced back, and they've bounced back in a big way. They're 6-2 now. They just dominated Houston, a team that gave Texas some problems. And now, speaking of Texas, they got an upcoming game against Texas. And, I mean, this is one that I could see going either way. Texas is going to be without their starting quarterback, so that's huge. And, yeah, I don't know. Their QB they put in last game, Malik Murphy, he wasn't great. 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. It was against BYU. I mean, he was I don't know, because he wasn't too bad, but it was against BYU. I would have trusted a lot more if Quinn Ewers was in here for Texas. But I don't know, man. Kansas State's hot. They've been looking really good recently. I know it's on the road. The analytics are all over them. I think Kansas State gets it done. I'm telling you right now, this video, there's gonna be some picks you might not agree with for my predictions for this week, but this week's potentially the one of the best weeks we've got in college football. This week has a ton of very important games for who's gonna make the conference championship game, just overall the top 25 as it is. Playoff implications like this week is just huge. We're getting down to the wire. It's week 10. So I'm going Kansas State. I think Kansas State knocks off Texas in a huge, huge, huge upset. It's on the road. I don't care. I'm going Kansas State. Number 21, Kansas, moving up 5 spots. They shocked the world. They beat Oklahoma last Sunday, and as an Oklahoma fan, you got to be upset. You were hoping for an undefeated season, and I thought they were going to at least get to the Big 12 championship game undefeated. They end up losing this one to Kansas. It was on the road, but Kansas had their backup QB in, and I know he didn't look too bad, but Dylan Gabriel was just atrocious in this one. He did have 3 rushing touchdowns, but I mean, the passing was not his strong suit in this game, and they lost because of it. He threw a lot of interceptions. The turnovers really killed them. Kansas got the ball with Oklahoma had the ball with 2 minutes left, winning. They were winning with the ball, 2 minutes left. Kansas defense forces a 3-and-out, so props to them. And they get the ball back, and Kansas goes down and scores game-winning touchdown. But now their upcoming game is on the road at Iowa State. And don't sleep on this Iowa State team. They started out 1-2 with some questionable losses, but they're 5-3 now, 4-1 in the Big 12. They picked up some nice wins in the conference already, and they have it at home. I think Kansas has a struggle game coming off the huge win, and I think they'd lose this one to Iowa State. I really do. Iowa State's been hot recently, so give me Iowa State to win this one. Kansas still has their backup QB in. So can you expect 2 huge games back to back? I don't know. And yeah, I think they struggle a little coming off the huge win. So I'm going to go Iowa State in this game. Number 20, UCLA, moving up 3 spots. They took down Colorado. Colorado's been struggling in conference play to start the year. They have really taken a fall from grace. They're now 4-4. UCLA looked pretty good in this one. They'd start out a little slow, but they picked it up and pulled away late. They win 28-16, but their upcoming game on the road against Arizona, a team who just knocked off Oregon State. So that's a big win for them. Arizona might be the best 3-loss team in the country. I've been saying this. It's either them or Duke. Unfortunately, Duke lost to Louisville. It sucks. Their QB was not 100% in that one. But, yeah, Arizona's a good team. UCLA is only favored by 2.5. Yeah, I think Arizona is going to make this game very interesting. It's in Arizona. It's a late Pac-12 game. You know how those games can be. I'm going to go UCLA. I don't think Arizona can pull off 2 back-to-back upsets. I just trust UCLA a little more, but I could see Arizona winning this game, and I would not be shocked if they did. If they do, they'll probably be in my top 25 next week, just a heads up, because that's 2 ranked Pac-12 wins in a row, so I feel like I got to respect them a little. I'm going to go UCLA, though. Trust them a little more, and I don't know if Arizona can pull off 2 big wins in a row. Give me the Bruins in that one. Number 19, Tennessee, moving up 2 spots. They picked up a nice win against Kentucky on the road last week. They looked pretty good in doing so. They were kind of in control of that game for the majority of, well, pretty much for all of it. They were winning the entire game, so that was good for them. And this week, they got a game against UConn. Should have absolutely no problems there. I got 55-0. Number 18, Air Force, moving up 2 spots. I thought they could struggle in this one. Colorado State took Colorado to double overtime, but Air Force proved me wrong. They get a dominating win here in this one. Actually, not. I don't know if I'd say dominating. They were tied at halftime. They were tied at halftime. So I don't know if you could call that dominating, but I mean they ended up winning by 17. They had a strong second half, and now their upcoming game against Army. It's a rivalry game, so I think just because of that, you got to predict it to be a little bit closer. I still do think Air Force will win. I think it's a low-scoring game, kind of a just an defense running the ball type game. I'll go Air Force 24-13. Utah coming in at 17, moving down 5 spots. They looked bad against Oregon. A team that hasn't lost in like 5 years with fans in attendance in a home game. I know they did lose in 2020 a home game, but there was no fans. So they haven't lost with fans in their home stadium since for like 5 years. They lose this one to Oregon, and man, Oregon's been looking very good. But focusing on Utah here, uh, yeah, they did not look good like anywhere in this game. 35-6. It really wasn't ever a question who was going to win this game. Right out of the gate, Oregon drives it all the way down the field and then stops Utah. Yeah, it wasn't a good showing for the Utes in this one. Um, uh, Bryson Barnes had a rough game, 2 interceptions, 136 passing yards. Not what you want to see. Not what you want to see from him. Bucky Irving continues to impress. Troy Franklin had a nice game. Bo Nix is a serious contender for the Heisman. I feel like people aren't talking about him enough for the Heisman, but he definitely is a contender for sure. At least for me. But yeah, Utah moving down 5 spots. They did not look good. I think they have a bounce back game against Arizona State. I mean, Arizona State did keep it close against Washington, but I don't know. I think Utah is just the much better team, so give me them here. Oregon State's disappointing loss for them. Their playoff hopes, their long shot playoff hopes, are now officially over. They lose their second game to Arizona. Yeah, that was tough. Obviously, you want to win that game if you're a Beavers fan, because with one loss, there's still a chance you make the playoffs. You would have to win out in a tough conference. That's not realistic. You still got a regular season game against Oregon, and you could potentially have to play them again in the championship game. So, and you also would have to hope. I don't know if Oregon State and Washington play, but if they don't play, you would have to hope that Washington would lose at least one, maybe even two games down the line. So, it's a tough loss. Washington and Oregon State do play, so you would have to win out, but ultimately they lose to Arizona. So, tough way to end your playoff hopes. But Arizona's a tough team. I'd have to drop them down 5 spots because, they got 2 losses now, so you got to get punished some. I think sorry, I accidentally went backwards. I think they rebound with a win against Colorado. Shedeur Sanders hasn't been great the past couple games. He's been holding on to the ball too long, taking too many sacks. The fact that he was in Heisman conversations for the first 4 weeks is crazy to me now when you look back at it. Yeah, that was just he's not been good ever since conference play started. So I'm going to go Oregon State. I think the defense is good enough for them, and Colorado has one of the worst defenses in college football. So I think Oregon State should be able to score pretty easy, and I think the Oregon State defense should be able to contain Colorado at least a little. I could see them scoring a little more, but I got 35-21. 15, I got the Cardinals moving up 3, and they got an impressive win against Duke. Now, I was going to move them a little higher, but I really couldn't move them ahead of teams in front of them, and also Duke starting quarterback was not healthy at all. I mean, you could tell. They got really no offense going. Louisville's I mean, props to Louisville's defense. They shut them down. But there is a little asterisk, I guess you could say, just because Duke's quarterback wasn't 100%, and you could tell very easily just from looking at him, how he's playing, and how the overall offense was. But I'm going to give some credit to Louisville's defense. Obviously, it wasn't only because of that. The defense did play well. The offense did enough. Got the win 23-0. I think they continue to win. I think they beat Virginia Tech. And man, if Louisville didn't drop that game to Pitt, they could seriously, um, you know, be in playoff conversations. I mean, they would be in the top 10. At least I would think they would be undefeated in a great conference with wins over Notre Dame, Duke. I mean, they have some. Now, the loss to Pitt does hurt their resume a lot. But just to think, they could be 8-0 right now. So, yeah, it's unfortunate they lost that game to Pitt, but they did win this one against Duke, and I think they win against Virginia Tech pretty easy. Number 14, Missouri. They came off the bye last week. They move up 2 just because Oregon State and Utah did drop below them. But their upcoming game is against Georgia, and I'm really interested to see how Missouri's coaches prepare for this. I think this is a huge game, and I don't expect Missouri to win this, but I think this is a huge game to see if Missouri is a legitimate team. They are 7-1, so they're obviously a good team, but I want to see how their coaches handle coming off the bye against a huge game. It's on the road, and so that's tough. It's in Athens. And, yeah, I mean, Missouri has a chance. Obviously, I'm not going to write them off completely. Could see something. They fell just short last year. They're going to be wanting revenge. Their coaches, I think it's big on the coaches this week because they're coming off the bye, and a lot of times teams sleepwalk coming off the bye just a little bit. But I don't know if Missouri's going to. I mean, they can't. They're playing Georgia, so you can't really do that against Georgia. It's also on the road. So if they come ready to play, which I think they will, this game will be very interesting. Even if they do come ready to play, I don't expect them to win. I'll go Georgia 34-27. Georgia's been very impressive, and I think I'm being a little generous with this score prediction, keeping it within 7. But I think Georgia, I don't see a world where Georgia loses. I mean, I can see it, but I don't know. I can't predict it. So I'm going Georgia 34-27. LSU at 13, moving up 2 spots. They're coming off the bye, and their upcoming game is a night game in Tuscaloosa on the road against Alabama. They won last year in this game. That was a phenomenal game, went to overtime. That was a great game. But this time, they're going to Tuscaloosa to play the Crimson Tide, led by Jalen Milroe, and the Tide have really impressed me recently. They've been playing a lot better. They have an elite defense. So when LSU's offense is on the field and Alabama's defense, when they're colliding, that's going to be something to watch because Alabama's defense is phenomenal. They've been great this year. But LSU's offense is probably the best in college football. In my opinion, they've looked like the best. And their quarterback, I believe it's Jaden Daniels, but I always get this mixed up. Let me just fact check myself real quick. I always get confused between Jaden and Jalen Daniels. Okay, I was right. It was Jaden Daniels. So he's probably one of the favorites to win Heisman. In my opinion, it would be him, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Jordan Travis is in there. Bo Nix, I think, is in there. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is also in there. He's been crazy, as always. But yeah, LSU, when their offense is heading up against the Alabama defense, I'm interested to see how they will play. They fell apart in the second half against Florida State, but people forget they were winning, or no, they weren't winning. I think it was tied going into halftime, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 17-17. Let me look at that real quick. But whether or not they were winning or not, that game was close in the first half, and I feel like people forget that just because how dominant Florida State was coming out the second half. Yeah, they were winning 17-14 heading into the half. People forget that, I feel like, and recently LSU's been very impressive, at least to me. Uh, so, I mean, they have two losses. They lost that game to Ole Miss, but I mean, they've been winning. They've been beating some good teams. They have a win over Missouri. They have a win over Auburn, and I mean their offense has been phenomenal. The least amount of points they've put up this year is 34. But let me just read these. They've put up they put up 24 to Florida State, but besides that, 72, 41, 34, 49, 49, 48, 62. The question for me is, will Alabama's defense be able to contain this? Because if they are, I think Alabama will win. I don't trust LSU's defense, and I think Alabama will be able to score a good amount of points. That I think LSU's offense is going to have a day, but I think they might turn the ball over a little. We saw that with Florida State a little bit. I think it's going to happen again. I think there's a world where LSU's winning at halftime, but you got to remember it's a night game in Tuscaloosa. I think Nick Saban's a better coach than Brian Kelly. I don't think that's a question at all. I don't even know why I brought it up because everyone knows that. Even if they're losing at halftime, I trust him. I think Alabama will win this one. They get their revenge. I don't see Saban losing to them twice in a row. I said that last, not last week, but wait, was it? No, it wasn't. It wasn't last week. I'm thinking of Alabama Tennessee. But I mean, I said that with that game. I don't see a world where Saban loses to the same team 2 years in a row. I gotta go Alabama. I trust them just a bit more than I do LSU. So, give me Bama. 31-30. Notre Dame coming in at number 12, moving up one. They dominate Pitt, a team that beat Louisville, and Louisville beat them. So the transitive property does not work in college football. But now they go on the road into Death Valley against Clemson. It's not a night game though, which is kind of weird to me, but I don't think they star at all. Clemson's 4-4, absolutely ridiculous. They are just falling apart as a program, and I've never really liked Clemson, so I'm okay with it. But yeah, they've been bad. I'm gonna go Notre Dame in a blowout. I don't think this is a good game at all. Penn State coming in at number 11. They moved down one spot. They looked bad against Indiana. This Indiana team is 2-6. They haven't won a Big Ten game yet. They are bad, and Penn State did not look good. They looked like they just fell apart after that Ohio State game. Because I thought they were about to lose this game. I was getting ready to drop them all the way down to like 20 maybe. I only dropped them down one, but man, they looked bad. Now they go on the road against Maryland. Maryland's not a bad team, but Maryland hasn't been too impressive to me recently either. I thought I thought they were gonna go 9-3 this year. Only losses being to Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State, but they did lose. They've lost 3 in a row now, losing to Ohio State, Illinois, and Northwestern. I can't pick Penn State to lose this one. I was thinking about it, but Maryland, I mean, you can't lose to Northwestern and Illinois, and you can't do that, and then, you can't lose to Northwestern and then Illinois, and then have me sit here and expect you to beat Penn State. I think Penn State's defense will be able to contain Maryland's offense, and I think Drew Aller has a bounce back game. I think Penn State wins this one 35-23. And number 10, Oklahoma, man. Disappointing loss is all I can really say. You would like to see them win this one. It was kind of a weird game because of the rain delay and all that. But, man, that was. Kansas came out the gates hot. They got a pick six, I believe. And Oklahoma kind of settled the storm a little. They go into halftime with the lead, but then in the second half, they just could not hold on to that lead. Now their upcoming game is on the road against Oklahoma State. And ladies and gentlemen, don't look now. Oklahoma State's 6-2, 4-1 in the Big 12. Oklahoma State's a good team. I hate to break it to you. I was this close to putting them in the top 25. I stayed away from it. But this is the last Bedlam game we're going to see. Oklahoma's favored by 6, but it's on the road. Oklahoma State's going to come out there angry because Oklahoma's leaving the conference. This will be the last one for a while. I think Oklahoma State gets one last jab at Oklahoma. They have this one at home. I think they do it. I think they beat Oklahoma and hand them their second straight loss, eliminating them from the playoff. I really do. I think Oklahoma State does this. I think they pull it off. I like Mike Gundy as a coach. Their team is very good this year. I'm going Oklahoma State 34-30. Say whatever you want, but Oklahoma State's a good team. They have this one at home. Oklahoma State coming off a heartbreaking loss. Dylan Gabriel didn't look great. They haven't looked great since the Texas game, which was like 4 weeks ago. So, yeah, they had a bye after and then struggled against UCF, losing to Kansas last week. This week, I'm going to say they lose again. I got Oklahoma State. You can fight me, but I think Oklahoma State's, I don't know, a lot's pointing towards them for me. This is obviously an upset. I'm going to go with it, though. I think they get one final jab at Oklahoma. I think they beat them. Number 9, Ole Miss moving up 5, and you guys might be thinking, whoa, why are they moving up 5? Well, okay. First of all, they would have moved up 3. Well, no, so they would have moved up 4. Or no, they would have moved up 2. Because Utah and Oregon State were ahead of them. They moved down. So first I was going to move up 2. Then I was thinking, they have 1 loss. Notre Dame has 2. I think I'm going to switch them this week. So that would have been 3. And the more I was thinking about it, I was like, Oklahoma and Penn State have not looked impressive the past 2 weeks. So I just moved Ole Miss ahead of those 2. That might be, I don't know, 9, 10, and 11 is all pretty interchangeable for me at least. Ole Miss took care of business against Vanderbilt last week. They got a home game against A&M. A&M's not a bad team, but I think Ole Miss should be able to win. They got it at home. They should have, I think it will be a little close, but I think Ole Miss will win in the end. Alabama, number 8, coming off the bye. They play LSU. I talked about this already. I don't think Saban loses twice in a row. I think Alabama's defense will be able to create at least 1, maybe 2 turnovers. LSU's offense is going to be a problem, but I trust the defense to contain it enough. And I think Milroe will be able to make some plays, at least enough plays. But yeah, this is going to be a phenomenal game. I think if this was at LSU, I might go LSU, but it's in Tuscaloosa, a night game. It's hard to go against Saban. I'm going Alabama. Number 7, Texas beat BYU last week, and I talked about this one. I think Texas loses this one. I don't know how consistent their new QB will be. He did good last week, but with no Quinn Ewers, it's hard to trust them. And Kansas State's been so hot. The analytics love them. I'm very high on them now. I've kind of been sleeping on them. They're 6-2. They've been winning some good games. I got Kansas State in a huge upset here. Number 6, Oregon, moving up 1. They dominate Utah. Bucky Irving, Bo Nix, all those guys, Troy Franklin. The defense, everything was clicking for them. They were firing on all cylinders. They pick up a huge win on the road against Utah, handing Utah its first loss at home since for like I don't even know what the stat it was, like 20 games, something around there. So huge win for Oregon, and in my opinion, I think they should be the favorite to win the Pac-12 at this point. I know Washington's undefeated, but Washington struggled recently, and Oregon's looked dominant. Oregon was one play away from beating Washington, and it was in Husky Stadium. I think if that was in Eugene, Oregon would have won. Or a neutral site, I think Oregon would have won. And like I said, one play away from winning. So Oregon, in my opinion, are the favorite to win the Pac-12. They are a great team, and I almost considered switching them with Washington. I couldn't do it because I'm a huge matchup guy. Like, if they play, whoever wins is the better team. So I'm kind of huge on that. Head-to-head is a huge thing at what I look at, and yeah, I almost kept Oklahoma ahead of Texas, but ultimately I couldn't not drop Oklahoma down at all. So I had to drop them down a little. So I did have to go against my rule there, but I think that was justified. I think I was justified in doing that. I almost forgot to do my prediction. Yeah, I think they win against California. California has actually a pretty good offense, but Oregon's offense is much better, and their defense should be able to do just fine. I got 48-24. Number 5, Washington not moving. I was thinking about moving them down. I couldn't. They're undefeated. They were one play away from losing to Stanford. Stanford had a fourth down late in that game. Wide open guy, he drops the ball. So it's unfortunate. Stanford was about to pull off that upset. That would have been huge. Washington survives again for the second week in a row. They've been very not good. They have been looking a little scary, and I don't know if I can trust them. I'm gonna trust them again against USC, just because I don't like USC at all. They, you know, they have not looked good either recently. USC almost lost to Cal. Now I know Washington almost lost to Arizona State and Stanford back to back, but they are undefeated. And before those last two games, they were, looking like one of the best teams. They still are one of the best teams, but they have not looked good recently. I think they should be able to win against USC, but I'm a little worried. It's in the Coliseum, but I'm still gonna go Washington. I don't know. I think Michael Penix should be able to win. His Heisman case is dimming down a little just because of the last two games, but I'm still going to go Washington against USC. Number 4, Florida State not moving. They take care of business against Wake Forest. Looked very good in doing so. I think it's kind of a similar show. They should be able to take care of business against Pitt. I know Pitt did beat Louisville, but that was a fluke game. I'm saying it right now. Pitt is not a good team. So give me Florida State 44-21. Number 3, Ohio State. There's a little something I want to talk about for this game. Excuse me. So this is not your traditional Ohio State team. This is not the team that will go out and put up 50 on you. This is not the team that's not physical. This is not the high-powered passing offense you're usual to see. This is not your defense that isn't very good in the trenches, but will make big plays. Now, it's pretty much the opposite. So the offense is more of a running-based attack, which I actually like, especially in the Big Ten. You need to run the ball to win. Travion Henderson had a phenomenal game against Wisconsin. Finally, he's healthy. Thank God. He is a huge difference maker. And then McCord played not great, but you got Marvin Harrison. He's potentially going to win the Heisman. He would probably be in my top 3 at least for the Heisman voting. He might be number 1. I haven't really put much thought into it. But yeah, he's phenomenal as always. Going to be drafted in the top 5 of the draft, in my opinion. They had no Ibuka in this Wisconsin game, so that's huge. When he comes back, that's a huge factor. Kate Stover had a good game. The defense was phenomenal as always. There was a stretch where Ohio State struggled a little. That was last couple minutes in the second quarter and first couple minutes in the third. But besides that, the defense was light out. Uh, and yeah, they don't give up big plays. They are one of the best in college football, maybe the best. And yeah, Ohio State wins 24-10. As an Ohio State fan, I'm not used to this, but honestly, I'm excited to see how this works out because we've seen the past couple of years the high-powered offense, not very physical team, not great defense. It hasn't worked out great. The past like 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, they still made the playoffs in most of them. Usually, only 1 or 2 losses. So, most other programs that would be amazing, but not in Columbus. That's not what you expect. You expect undefeated. You expect playoffs. You expect national championships. So, yeah, in Wisconsin on the road, night game, tough place to play. McCord played okay. Hopefully, uh, as the season continues to go on, hopefully he continues to get better. They got a game at Rutgers. I'm gonna go 30-14. I don't think the offense puts up too much. I don't think the defense lets up too much. I'll go Ohio State 30-14. Hopefully Ibuka's back, cause that would be good for them to get their offensive playmakers back and continue to get more healthy. And I think this Michigan game this year is potentially one of the best of recent memory. So I'm very excited for that. Number 2, Georgia. They continue to dominate and continue to prove me wrong. They blow out Florida, and I was thinking about putting out a tweet that said Florida is going to beat Georgia. I stayed away from it just because it was Georgia. But yeah, I forgot Brock Bowers was out, and that's on me. He is out. But Georgia played phenomenal, 43-20. I also forgot this was a neutral site game, so that's also on me. But yeah, 43-20. They are just dominating, and they are. These top three. Georgia's so good. So they got a home game against Missouri. Talked about this. Maybe this is too close because Georgia continues to blow out teams and prove me wrong. But I'm going to go 34-27. But Georgia goes out there and blows out this team. I might have to consider giving them number 1. In all honesty, I don't know if I can do that, but I'm just gonna go Georgia 34-27. I think Missouri comes out to play, but I think they fall up a little short. Number 1, Michigan. They coming off the bye last week, and then this week playing Purdue at home in the Big House. I think they might start off a little slow, but it's Michigan. They got great coaching, great players, great offense, great defense, great everything. 38-6. I'll go with here. They are my number 1 team, and they have been all year, and they haven't given me a reason to move them. So, yeah, that's my take on Michigan. So yeah, that's gonna be the Week 10 college football top 25. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like in the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn on the notification bell. We do college basketball every Monday night, college football every Tuesday night, NFL picks every Wednesday night, and then NBA Thursday nights. So, a whole lot of content. It's the busiest time of year around here, so make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on to make sure you don't miss an upload. Whoops, I didn't mean to click that, but anyways, my X and my Discord are linked to the description. You can follow that follow the X for bonus content. I'll just tweet random things about sports. Join the Discord if you'd like. You don't have to appear on videos, but that's always an option if we figure something out. Really anything, I'd love to have someone to talk to. It's more fun that way. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say. See you guys tomorrow with NFL Week 9, I believe it is. Week 9 game predictions. That should be fun. It always is. And yeah, I'll see you guys with that tomorrow. Thank you for watching.